All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott, formerly of Rankin Technical College, and as part of my YouTube channel that you can see here, I'm trying to teach people Python programming. All right, we've gone through this many times, usually at the beginning of just about every single one of these lectures. I've gone through many of the facets of Python, and we're in database now. Now, there's many ways that I can go through and try to write this program. I'm going to try to write it in what I consider to be, what I personally consider to be the easiest way for you to understand it. So I've got it done already under a thing called CRUD, and I've written both a non-object-oriented version and an object-oriented version. I'm not going to go through those now. Instead, I'm going to go to where I've got my Python courses, source files, Python DB, and this is SalesOrders version 3. So the only thing that's in there right now that you can see, the only thing that's in there is the database. So I'm taking it from there. And I was thinking about this before. I'm going to write this the way I'm going to write it. Now, if that makes no sense, bear with me if you would, please. All right. So right now, the first thing here that I'm planning on doing is, for lack of better words, all right, what I'm going to do here is I am going to go and write main. All right. So I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a file that I'm going to call main.py. Okay. Then I'm going to create a folder down here, and it's just going to be called categories CRUD, and I'll make it categories CRUD. Now that maybe sounds like a stupid or a weird name, and you know what, it probably is kind of a weird name, but that's okay. All right, so I'm going to hit enter, and in fact, let's do this. I'm going to change my mind right now. Let's rename this. Let's just call this categories. I think that's better. All right. So we're going to have one of these folders for each one of our tables. So let's just create those right away. We're going to have a customers folder. We're going to have an employees folder. We're going to have an orders folder. We're going to have an order details folder. We're going to have a products folder. We're going to have a product vendors folder. And finally, we're going to have a vendors folder. All right. And inside of each one of these, we're going to have a CRUD file. So I'm going to just do this one for now, just the categories. All right, so right now I've got all this. I've got underneath here, just so you can see this, so I have created this hierarchy. Categories folder, customers folder, an employees folder, an order details folder, an orders folder, a products folder, a product vendors folder, and a vendors folder. All of them currently, all of them are empty. What I'm going to end up doing basically is writing very similar code in each one of these folders, but that code will pertain to whatever particular table I'm working with. All right, so right now I'm going to work with the categories table. It's the first one, and it's the easiest one to work with. So inside of here, all right, I'm going to create a new file. Now I'm going to call this categories crud.py. All right, so that's what's under there. I'll eventually have a customers.py, an employees.py, an order details.py, an orders, try that again. I'm going to have a customers crud.py, an employees crud.py, an order details crud.py, an orders crud.py, a products crud.py, a product vendors crud.py, and a vendors crud.py. All right, but for now I'm just going to do this. So what is this going to be? Well, this will handle the CRUD operations for the categories table. All right. Remember, categories, we looked at this already, but I'm going to bring it up again. And that is, let's see. So here's categories. And there were 6 of them. Okay? All right. So let's just start. Now, we're going to have a routine for each one of the operations. So I'm going to define one I'm going to call create category. And for now, I'm just going to put a pass there. All right. Of course, I need this. Now, I am going to be passing in a database cursor for each one of these. All right. So let me hit enter here, and I'm going to copy this. Now I'm going to get errors probably, or I might, but I want to now have a read. Well, when I'm creating a single category. But when I'm reading all categories. And when I update, I'm going to be updating a single category. And when I delete, I'm going to be deleting a single category. So right now, I mean, these aren't doing anything, but I'm going to have these kinds of things in every one of these. All right, so there'll be an update. For example, there'll be a create customers, a read customer, a create customer, read customers, update customer, delete customer, etc. So one of these for each one of these. Okay? All right. So what happens? Well, when I create a category, what do I want to do? Well, the ID is automatically going to be filled in for me. Okay? It'll automatically be filled in. So I only have to worry about a category description. Okay? So let's handle that first. Well, it's called category description. That's a decent enough name. Enter category description. Okay? All right. Now what I want to do is I want to be able to insert this record into the categories table. I've got a cursor up there, as you can see. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to say cursor, and I don't have to call it cursor. I could just call it C, but I'm just calling it what it is. Dot execute. Let's put in our triple quotes here. All right, and I'm going to say here, insert into categories. Now remember, all the keywords, you don't have to do this, but I'm taking all the keywords and I'm capitalizing them. So you can tell that indeed they're being capitalized. All right, so what do I want to insert into categories? Well, what I wanted to insert in is the field. I want to insert it into here, category description. All right, and I want to do it just like that. All right, and I'm going to put in a single value in there. Values, question mark. All right, that's this. That's the insert, and it's values, not value, like that. Now, when I'm done, I have to let it know where I'm getting that from. Well, that's here. So that will be the category description. All right, it's giving me a little funkiness here. It's because of the way I've tabbed it. Yeah, it doesn't like these tabs the way I'm doing them. So let's see, if I come in here and I put it in parens, it may accept it, I don't know. Okay, we'll fix it right now. That is, we don't need that. There we go. So in English, what we're saying here, we're asking you to enter a category description. Okay? Then we're going to take that description and we're going to insert it into our categories table. It will be the value that we'll use for the field called category description. All right? And it would be kind of nice to let the user know afterwards that this worked. So we're going to print category created, just like that. Now this won't work yet. We have no working main in here or anything, but I'm just trying to explain to you what's going to happen. So that's for creating a category. The next one is even simpler. It's going to be for reading a category. So let's do that one next. We'll put in print and we'll say, here are the categories. And another cursor.execute. This is really simple. We can do all this in one line. We don't need the triple quotes. We'll just say select star from categories. That says give me all of the category records. Okay? All right. Then so it prints out and it looks somewhat decent. We'll say rows equal cursor dot fetch all. And we'll say for row in rows print row. That's it. So this is saying run this query. Give me all the categories and then print them out one at a time. Again, fairly simplistic stuff. All right. So I've got that done. The next one is an update. All right. Now I'm going to put a note in here that says you cannot, we'll say the word note. Note, you cannot update the category. You cannot update the category ID. Why? Because it's a primary key. We're just letting you know that that's not. Since there's only two fields in here, the only one you'll be able to update will be the category description. Well, we have to basically figure out. All right, figure out. So we'll put in here determine row to update. All right, so we'll put in here category ID equal, and we'll input enter category. Let's remove this. So we've got some room here. Whoops. So enter category ID of record to update. All right. And we're going to put in a new category description here. So let's call it new category description equals, again, we'll say input, enter updated category description. All right. Now, after we do that, we'll need to put it into the database. So we determine the row to update. Then we will update that row's category description. And finally, we will update the database by saying cursor dot execute, And we'll use our triple doc string here. And we'll say here, update categories. Why I'm having so much trouble spelling that, but I am. Set category description equal to question mark where category ID equal question mark. So we're saying to update the category description of that particular record. Okay, well we need to provide the other information it needs here. So we will say here, well, what's this called? Remember, what am I doing here? It is called new category description, and the other field we need here is called category ID. It's like that. Now, one thing I did a nice job here, and that was putting in some comments. Let's put a couple up here. All right. So this will be input category description for new record. All right. This will be execute query to insert new record into the database. All right, and then this is just, a message. That's no biggie. All right, this is just a message. So this will execute a query to show all category records. All right. This will fetch all of the records found. And this will print all of the records found. Period. Okay, so now I put in some comments. All right, so the only one that's left is the delete. Okay, well, in much the same way that we just did this, we're going to have to come in and say something like category ID equals, we'll do an input, and this will say enter category ID of record to delete. All right, so what are we doing here? We're going to prompt for the record to delete. All right, next we will actually run the delete query. So that'll be cursor dot execute. We'll again use our triple doc string. And it'll be delete from categories where the category ID is equal to question mark. All right, and the only other thing we'll need to put in here is what is that category ID. It seems to work better when you put a comma after this. I'm not sure why. I read something a long time ago in a book about that, but I don't think you must. I don't think you have to do that. So this, what did I put here? Run the delete query. This will say run the insert query. This one will say run the select query. And this one will say run the update query. Okay, so we now have everything set up for that. Now, what I want to do is I want to come in and I want to go in and add my main. But before I do that, I'm going to do something that might sound a little strange. So File, Save All, and I'm going to close this. And I'm going to go back out to here because I find it easier sometimes when I'm working with this stuff to actually work with it out here. So I've got this category, CRUD. I'm going to copy that. Okay, and I'm going to put it into customers. I'm going to put it into employees. I'm going to put it into order details. I'm going to put it into orders. I'm going to put it into products. I'm going to put it into product vendors. And I'm going to put it into vendors. Now, the next thing I should do is just change the name right away. So let's change the name of this. This will become Customer CRUD. This one will become Employee CRUD. This one will become Order Detail CRUD. The next one will be called Order CRUD. Next, we will have Product CRUD. Followed by Product Vendors CRUD. Followed by Vendors CRUD. Now let's quickly, there's Vendors CRUD. That's good. In fact, let's make that Vendor CRUD. No, you know what? I'll make it Vendors. That's fine. This was Product Vendors CRUD. Good. This I will make Products CRUD. Okay. This can be Orders CRUD. This can be Order Details CRUD. Then we will have Employees CRUD. Customers CRUD. And Categories CRUD. Okay, that's done. Now, these files, all the ones from here to here, they have to all be changed. But I've built what I need in there. Okay? Now, rather than doing those next, which I could do, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to write main next. All right? And I'm going to add a few things in here that are going to look a little bit funky, for lack of better words. All right? So let's go in and let's open up main. It's open, it's empty. Okay, so we have in here right now our categories crud with all this stuff in it. Looking at it, I wrote execute. What is wrong with me? Execute. 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 Okay. All right, so those are all done. So the next thing I want to do, like I said, is to write main. I have a picture here that I'm going to put in, but first I'm going to import SQLite3. All right, that's the first thing I'm going to do. Now I have to find that picture. This is not it. Put it someplace. I'm going to have to copy it from the actual working file. So, okay, so I'm going to grab all, oops, I'm going to grab all of this. In fact, I'm going to grab everything through right here. Okay, and I'm going to paste it in. And that'll give me a good start here. Don't worry about these errors. They'll be fixed in a minute. All right? And actually, what I'm going to write into main is not all that difficult, but it'll be fairly lengthy. Okay? Now, we've already got categories. We've got customers. We've got employees. We've got order details. We've got orders. We've got products. We've got product vendors. And we've got vendors. In addition, we have vendors CRUD, product vendors CRUD, etc. We don't have this file right here. So I'm going to create that. Okay, so I'm going to come up to the top here. And I'm going to create a new file. What's the name of that file going to be? Underscore underscore init underscore underscore .py. All right. Now I'm going to take that file that we just created. You see it. Where are you? I guess I put it there. So let me copy it. And I got to paste it into each one of these folders. So paste it into here. Oh, this is the working copy. That's why. Okay. Let me go back into here. Source files, DB, sales orders, version 3. All right, there is init.py, and it's an empty file. So I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to paste it 8 times. All right. Now, right now, technically, these are all kind of on, off on their own. So I'm going to create another folder that I'm going to call modules. I'm also in that modules folder going to add one of those empty init.py files. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take categories and customers and employees and order details and orders and products and product vendors and vendors. And I'm going to move all of them over to modules. Okay, just kind of did some cleanup for lack of better words. What that did was I now have this. did I do with that? So I said I wanted to copy that. I don't think I ever pasted it, so let's paste it here. All right. I now have a setup where under my main menu, I've got a main.py, and under modules, I've got an init.py, and under categories, I've got an init.py and a categories crud.py. Under customers, I've got an init.py and a customers crud.py. Under employees, I've got an init.py and an employees crud.py. Under order details, I've got an init.py and an order details crud.py. Under orders, I've got an init.py and an orders crud.py. Under products, an init.py and a products crud.py. Under product vendors, I've got an init.py and a product vendors crud.py. And under vendors, I've got the init.py and the vendors crud.py. Now, in main, I can import everything I need. That's what I've done here. I said, go to the modules folder. Under there, you'll find a folder named categories. Underneath the categories, you'll find a file that's called categories crud. In categories crud, you've got 4 functions: create category, read categories, update category, and delete category. And actually, I'm going to go and I'm going to add this. All right. Now it's going to look weird what I'm about to do, but please just trust me for a minute here. I'm going to come in here. And I'm going to take everything that I just put in and comment it out. You'll understand why in a little bit. All right. Now, I could have come in here and said right here, instead of these 4, I could have replaced this with 1 line. I could have just said, from modules.categories.categories crud, import star. Because that would import everything that's in there, and that's these 4 functions. But doing that is known as polluting the namespace. Okay? Star should only be used when you have to use everything. I do use everything, but what if I added other things in there later? What if I added things into this folder that I didn't want to import? All right, something that was local to the folder. Star would import that even if I didn't want it to. All right, so there's that. Okay, so I've got to start. Now let's go down here. And what we'll do is let's connect to our SQLite 3 database. All right, so we'll call it connect DB. And it's 1 line, return SQLite 3 dot connect. Remember, what we want to connect to is sales orders db. All right, we're getting that error. Why are we getting that error? Because up at the top of our program, which I didn't do, we need to import SQLite 3. Now that error should be gone from there. And you can see it's gone. Okay, so that'll allow us to connect to the database. All right, so there's a start. Next, let's write a function to display the main menu. All right, and let's call it, here be a surprise, def display main menu. All right. And this will be a bunch of prints to begin with. So let's just put this in here. And we're going to copy this in here about 9 or 10 times. All right. So what is that going to do? Well, this will say sales orders DB main menu. All right. Now we're going to list our tables. 1, categories. 2, customers. 3, employees. I did it in alphabetical order, what they consider to be alphabetical order. 4, order details. 5, orders. 6, products. 7, product vendors. 8, vendors. And 9 will be exit the program. Okay? All right. Well, we're showing those, and now we're going to ask you to choose one. Choose an option. So, choice equals input. Select a table option. 1 through 8 or 9 to exit. Okay? And we'll return that choice. Okay? So again, all this is doing is it's just displaying our main menu. Here we're asking you to choose one, and then we're returning it. Okay? Well, we also have another menu in here. So here we will say function to display CRUD menu for each table. All right, so def, I just called it handle CRUD. We could call it whatever we want, but I'll call it handle CRUD. We need a connection. We need a cursor. And we need a table name. It needs to know which table we're working with. All right. Now this is ugly as hell. Pardon my French, but it is. There's 2 more functions we have to write here that are real ugly, and then we'll actually put in our if underscore underscore name underscore underscore equal underscore underscore main underscore underscore call main. All right, but now we've got to do this. Remember, we have 8 tables. So we're going to say here, while true, I called it operation, equals display CRUD menu. We haven't written that yet. We're going to write that in a minute. We're getting an error right now because we have that. So let's quickly put that in here. We should put that up here. So function to, oh, we got here CRUD menu for each table. So do display main CRUD menu. All right, so that'll be def display CRUD menu. Okay. And we'll put that in now. So we'll have about 6 print statements. All right. And we'll put in here CRUD operations menu. And what's CRUD? Number 1 will be create. Number 2 will be read. Number 3 will be update. And number 4 will be delete. We'll also give the user the opportunity to return to the main menu, which is this menu here. Okay? All right, just like before, we're going to have you choose an option, and then we're going to return it. Now, this will be select an operation. Operation. And that'll be 1 to 5, 1 to 4, or 5 to return to main menu. Okay? And we'll return that choice. All right. Now we want to be able to handle our CRUD. So now we're not getting an error in here anymore. So remember, I'm going to write this now, and it's going to be ugly. I'm just warning you, it's going to be ugly. And I'm probably going to end up getting some errors in here. It's okay. So I'm going to say if operation equal 1, well, what do we know if it's a 1? That means it's a create. All right. Then we'll have to come in here and we'll have to say if table name equal categories we'll want to call create category. And notice it recognized it. And pass in our cursor. Okay? Now, the next ones that are in here, we haven't written them. Remember, I copied the categories CRUD to all of them, but I've got to change the names of all those to, like, for example, create employee, create customer, etc. So I'm going to comment these out for right now. All right, and let me go and grab this. So we need one for customers. We need one for employees. We need one for order details. We need one for orders. We need one for products. We need one for product vendors. And we need one for vendors. Now, of course, this won't be create customer. This will be create employee. This will be create order detail. These are going to be singular. This will be create order. This will be create product. This will be create product vendor. And this will be create vendor. So what we're doing in here is we're saying, this is all we care about now. So if we put in a 1 up here, that means we want to work with the categories table. And then when we come in here, if we put in a 1, we're going to want to call create category. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to copy this whole flipping thing here. And I'm going to get down to the bottom. And I just pasted it back in. So if it's a 1, we want to do all this stuff. If it's a 2, well, that's a read. So if it's category, we want to do read categories. All right. If it's customers, we want to do a read customers. If it's employee, we want to read employees. If it's order details, we'll want to read order details. If it's orders, we'll want to read orders. If it's product, we'll want to read products. If it's product vendors, we'll want to read product vendors. And if it's vendors, we'll want to read vendors. So that'll be if it's a 2. All right, so we've handled so far the C for CRUD and the R for CRUD. So we've got to come down here now. Paste again. Now we're going to do number 3. What happened here? Let's see. Well, somehow I screwed that up, but it's just a ordering thing here. So elif, now if it's a 3, it's update. All right, so this will be update category. This will be update customer. This will be update employee. This will be update order detail. This will be update order. This will be update product. This will be update product vendor. This will be update vendor. Okay, finally, we've got our last one. So if it's a 4, it's delete. So this will be delete category. Delete customer. Delete employee. Delete order detail. Delete order. Delete product. Delete product vendor. And delete vendor. So we've got all of that is now done. Okay, now that's if it was a 1, 2, 3, or 4, but remember, we also have 5. So we just put in the code for this, but we still need this. So let's go down to here. That should be an elif. Sorry. And finally, down here then, yep, right there, elif operation equal a 5. And again, this means we want to go back to main menu. So that'll just simply be a break. All right, else, and I think we need here. There we go. Otherwise, let's do a print that says invalid choice. Please try again. All right. And I didn't put this in, but I'm going to put a return right there. If I get down to this far, it worked. So I'm going to say con.commit. And what will that do? That will commit changes to the sales orders database. All right. So now what do we have left? Well, we've got to write main. Should make sense, right? Okay. Well, first con equals connect DB. So that's going to be our connection. Cursor that's going to be equal to con.cursor. So that gives us the cursor that we can work with. Again, we'll have another while true in here. All right. And table choice equals display main menu. All right. If the table choice is equal to 1, well, that's the categories table. We want to call, try that. We need this. There we go. All right, so we want to call handle CRUD. We want to pass in the connection, the cursor, and the name of the table, categories. Okay. Well, that's fine. But we got to do that for each table. Okay. So these all become elifs. No, we're not done yet, of course. All right, so 2. Let's move these over. Just trying to line up my comments here. All right, so we've got 1, which is categories, 2, which is customers, 3, which is employees, 4, which is order details, 5, which is orders, 6, which is products. 7, which is product vendors. 8, which is vendors. 'Alright, let's copy one of these. 9, which is to exit program. Alright, so we don't have to call anything here, but we'll put in a print that says exiting the program now. And just break. Finally, else. And we're going to print again, just like we did up above. I think we've got it up here someplace. Here you go. Invalid choice. Please try again. Okay. So when we're all done, I'm going to put right here a break. I'm sorry, a return, just like we had before. And if you get down this far, I'm going to say con.close. Close our connection. Finally, we're just about through. Again, if underscore underscore name underscore underscore double equals underscore underscore main underscore underscore call main. Okay, now I saw an error up here. There, it didn't like this while true. Not sure why it didn't like that while true, but it didn't. Oh, it should be a capital T. There we go. All right, let's see if we can make a little bit of sense as far as this goes. Okay? All right. We come into main. Okay? We call main. And we set up our connection. So we call connect DB. That should connect us to the database. Okay? As long as that database would exist. Okay, we'll put it into a try catch or a try except later. All right, so that's the first thing we're doing. So we now have our connection. Now we have a cursor, and that's going to be allow us to. So here we're going to establish connection to sales orders DB. And here we're going to create cursor to perform database operations, we'll say. Okay. All right, then while it's true, we're going to call display main menu. And that is going to come in here, and it's going to run this. It's going to show this menu right here and ask you to select an option. So let's say we choose 1. Okay, so 1 is going to be returned then back into main. Since it was 1, we're going to call handle CRUD, which we'll go to in a second, giving it our connection, our cursor, and the fact that we're using the categories table. So we come up here, and we're calling handle CRUD. All right. So now, the other thing that we did down here, okay, we're letting him know what table we want to work with in handle CRUD. But in handle CRUD here, all right, I want to make sure I did this correctly because knowing me, I could have screwed it up. All right, we're going to need to ask the operation, and if it's a 1, we should be calling this. Let's, for the heck of it, and I could have errors in here. I don't think I do. Nothing is showing right there. But let's see if we run this, what happens. So let's do a file save all. The only thing that should actually work in here right now are categories, if we did this correctly. All right, if I screwed up, hey, no problem. Okay, there's our main menu. So select the table option, 1 through 8 or 9 to exit. Let's just do 9 and see if it lets us exit. Exiting the program now. That's good. Let's run it again. Now we're going to put in 1. Okay, that's the categories table. Okay, let's see if we can add a category. In fact, let's see if we can read the categories first. That's number 2. There's our categories. So that's working. Let's see if we do a 1, if we can create a new category. We'll say this is a new category. Says that it was created. Let's verify it by doing another read. This is a new category. Let's see if we can update it. All right, so it is 7. We'll just change this to new cat. Oh, doesn't like something. It says it expected at most 2 arguments and it got 3. Well, that isn't good. In update category line 36, it's giving me an error. So let's look at that. Set category description equal to whatever, where category ID equal whatever, new category description and category ID. Updated category description. That was interesting. All right, I'm going to run it again. So I'm running the program again right now. We're trying to. Oops, I got to run the main file. There we go. All right. What are you doing? Come on. Main. Run it. Now something got closed in here. All right, file, save. And of course it was working nice and well too, so. There's main. SalesOrders version 3. Well, it's obvious that isn't working. So I'm going to take a little break here. We're already over an hour. So I'm going to stop here, fix this. In the next lecture, you'll see exactly what was wrong. Thanks.